March the 18th, 2026. I hope that you enjoyed your St. Patrick's Day yesterday. And now we find ourselves coming to the latter part of the month of March. Also, as well, don't forget, of course, your taxes will be due depending on where you live. But if you're in the United States, it's going to be in about a month, and in Canada, about a month and a half. Well, today our subject is what to do before you go to bed. Did you know that about 80% of Canadians and people in general from time to time have a trouble going to sleep? Some people, of course, have problems with insomnia, and insomnia is something that every one of us has to deal with from time to time. So today I'm going to be chatting with you about some things that you can do or not do during, of course, before you go to bed. So, Lord, bless this time, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, what can you do to, of course, avoid insomnia? Well, a very important thing is, of course, to have a good pre-bedtime routine. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of the first things that you should do is, of course, to help you to get ready to go to bed is do some reading. Many people actually read before bed. Ideally, they should not read in bed, but if you do read in bed, I actually do read in bed. And this is one way, of course, that I go to sleep. Now, I don't read reference books. I actually read novels. Right now, for example, I'm reading The Life and Times of D.L. Moody. My last book that I read was one on the life of Joseph. And usually I find very quickly that I will fall asleep. Usually around 2 or 3 pages is what I do. What I like to tell people is don't read an exciting novel, because what's going to happen is, of course, you're going to get into the novel and you're going to end up staying up longer than you wanted to do. So find a book that is both, educational and all, but also as well a book that you can put down at any time. Because it has been shown that reading actually helps to, of course, relax you. And reading in bed, just make sure that the book that you're reading is not the type of book that is exciting, or a book that is, going to keep you up, because in some cases it can actually contribute to your insomnia. But we're talking about, of course, having a good bedtime routine, something that will help you to actually fall asleep. So you have to be very careful on the types of books that you choose. Like I said, I like to read novels before I go to bed, or biographicals on different people. I've often read, different biographies. One of my favorites, of course, is Sir Winston Churchill. But right now I'm reading on, of course, D.L. Moody. Having a good bedtime routine and reading before bed is, of course, one way to help you to go to sleep. Also, reading book for pleasure is better than reading any work related material. I tell people all the time, if you're struggling with going to sleep and you're reading, don't read any work related materials, because what it is going to do, if you start reading work related material, it is going to keep your mind active, and your mind is going to go over and over what you need to do tomorrow, or it is going to make you begin to worry. So make sure that when you are reading before you go to bed, read something that has absolutely nothing to do with work thereof. Also, as well, it's not a bad thing to start reading the same sentence over and over, because it's not sinking down. When you do that, of course, what's going to happen is it's going to engage your mind. So it's probably time to turn off the light and go to sleep. I've often, when I'm reading, all of a sudden that special feeling that says, "Hey, you're getting tired. Put the book down and go to sleep." That is absolutely essential. And another thing that you can do is prayer, and which I often do. Now, what I like to do is, of course, use types of prayers that are, what we would call rote. That means that I may, do the Lord's Prayer, or maybe, another type of prayer that is relatively easy and to engage. These specific, depending on, of course, your religious background. But it is so important to relax. And I have discovered that prayer is a wonderful way to settle your heart. It engages, of course, your spiritual aspect of your life, and also, as well, it enables you to, of course, relax, because the wonderful thing to know is that the Lord is the one who is keeping you. And when you pray at night, it also is a great way, of course, to closing off the day. You've read your book, you're closing your eyes, and you're beginning to think about, the things that happen throughout the day. And I love being grateful. Gratefulness and thanksgiving is a wonderful way to close off the day. You're thanking the Lord for the friends that you have. You're thanking the Lord for the blessings that he has brought during the day. I love this story. It's a story of a man who every single day would get up in the morning as the sun was rising, and he would say, "Lord, thank you today for the blessings of this day." And as he was going to bed at night, he would say, "Lord, thank you for the blessings, and thank you for the people, and thank you for the wonderful way that you touched my life and the people that touched my life." Thanksgiving and gratitude is absolutely essential to a positive life. And also, as well, it gives you an opportunity to think about the wonderful people that are in your life that day. And so prayer is also a wonderful way to close off the day. And in fact, many different psychologists and sleep experts say that prayer is a wonderful way to close off the day, to be thankful, and also, as well, it slows down your body, and it allows you to be reflective and meditative. Also, as well, listening to music is a great way to, close off the day. Now, you need to think about the choice of your music as well. I do not recommend that you listen to the Beach Boys, or, some kind of music that will excite you or depress you. I'm talking about music that is, of course, going to relax you, reflective type of music. Music that, helps you slow down, helps you to relax. Many people, for example, listen to classical music. Other people, of course, listen to calming type of music. Music is a wonderful way to be able to prepare to close off your day. Um, it is also, easy to do these days, because there are many different ways, of course, that you can listen to music and not disturb the people around you. I love that one scene in the movie or the show called MASH, where Charles Emerson Winchester is listening to his music on his phonograph, and it is a classical music, and it's some opera, and he's listening to the music, and everybody around him says, "Charles, turn off that phonograph." That's, you don't want to disturb other people. What you want to do is, of course, put on the headphones and listen to the music. And it's beautiful how that type of music will relax you. It will allow you to slow down and, of course, feel peaceful and reflective. That is another way, of course, to be able to close off the day. The whole purpose of whether it is reading, whether it is praying, or listening to music is to prepare you to have a great night's sleep, because that's really what you want to see happen. You want to have somewhere between 6 and 8 hours of sleep every night, because one of the things that we do know when it comes to sleep is it is restorative. It enables your body to get itself back in line. And when you go to sleep, of course, what happens is your brain rewires itself. Your brain, of course, takes your conscious mind and turns it into the unconscious mind. And of course, what happens when you sleep is your body begins to restore itself, it begins to repair itself. And the last thing you want to do is be up in the middle of the night. So it is important to have a good pre-sleep routine. So listening to music is a wonderful way, of course, to be. And there's many different choices that you can do. And, actually, there are lots of choices out there when it comes to soundscapes. I know people that will put on music that is like a forest music, or, being in a forest or down by the seashore, and they will listen to the waves crashing on the beach. These are different versions of what people can use to go to sleep. Also, as well, it is absolutely essential to try to avoid light exposure and screens that are close to your eyes, basically like your phone before going to bed. So many people get involved with their devices. They either watch their phone or look at a tablet or get to their computer, not recognizing that actually blue light exposure is a well-known way to keep them awake or not allow them to fall asleep as they would normally do. So the recommendation of most those who are involved in this area say don't have any blue light exposure after 7 p.m. because usually it takes about 2 hours after you've if you have watch your phone or look at a tablet or on a computer, it usually takes your body about 2 hours to finally relax after blue light. So my recommendation is make sure that you don't have any blue light exposure after about 7 p.m. because it will keep you awake, and it will also keep your mind and your body active. Many people don't know that. And so it's very common for people, it's time to, look at my emails. It's time to scroll. Many people stay awake long after they should, by scrolling and watching all the different things that they have, especially today when we're dealing with news of what's going on in the Middle East or, what's happening in our world today. Many people say, hey, it's near the end of the day. I should find out what's going on. And then they can't sleep because they're worried or because of the blue light exposure. So make sure that you don't have any blue light exposure. Stay away from your phone, stay away from your tablet, stay away from your computer after about 7 o'clock. That is, of course, my recommendation. Here is a no-brainer, but so many people get involved in it. Don't drink pop, soda, or coffee after about 7 p.m. There's a reason why. Caffeine is a stimulant, and caffeine is in pop, in soda, or in coffee. And you say, well, what about diet soda? Listen, aspartame, most people don't know this, is an actual stimulant as well. So make sure that you don't drink pop, soda, or coffee before you go to bed. I discovered this, you know, unfortunately, in my midlife crisis, you might say. What was happening was I was staying up far too long than I should. And guess what? I stayed up, and I discovered that as soon as I cut soda or coffee or stimulants after about 6 p.m., I never had that problem. I want to tell you a funny little story. Last Friday, my son was involved in a play. And so one of the things that it was Friday night, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to have, you know, uh, Coke. So I went down to the local, they had a meal. And so instead of drinking water or tea, I decided to have Coke. Well, it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I was staring at the ceiling and I realized that the reason why was because I had drunk Coke 8 o'clock. That was my and always recommend, don't drink pop, soda, coffee after about 6 o'clock, because what will happen is you will be awake, because what's happening is the caffeine. Did you know this? It takes about 4 to 6 hours for caffeine to get out of your system. So don't drink it before you go to bed. Another way that you and I can relax before bed is take a bath or a shower. It's amazing how a warm bath or a shower will, of course, relax you because it helps as a sleep aid. So if you're struggling with sleep, maybe it's time to have a bath. Number one is you relax, and number two is you won't stink when you go to bed. That is, of course, something that often many people do. They have a bath and it just relaxes them. They have a shower and it just relaxes because your body's going, oh, I'm not so tensed anymore. And it is a wonderful sleep aid. Also, as well, it is absolutely important to have a room that is comfortable. Many people have different, temperatures. Some people, they like to have the window open. I knew this one guy that was my roommate, and he loved to have the window open and having cold air come in. Other people, of course, like to have a room that is a little bit warmer. Whatever the temperature is that you are comfortable with, and also as well makes you feel good before you go to bed, make sure that you do that. Also, as well, physically prepare yourself before you go to bed. Have a good environment. It's important, however, to make sure that your room is dark. You see, as our systems our body systems are, of course, wired to, of course, slow down when it gets dark. Now, that for me, in my type of world, gets a little bit more difficult because I have lived in areas where the light doesn't go down. When I was living in the Northwest Territories, for example, in the winter time, we would have less light, and so it was easier to go to sleep. But in the summertime, it became a little bit more difficult because what would happen is you could have as much as 22 hours of sun, and that would become a problem. It was especially a problem for my kids because what we would have to do is we'd have to put tinfoil on their windows so that their bedrooms could be dark. But it is important to have a darkened room when it comes to, of course, having a good sleep. So I do encourage you to make sure that you have a room that is dark. That is also one of the reasons why you should avoid blue light exposure before you go to bed. So make sure that your sleeping space is, number one, comfortable. Number two, that it is dark. And sometimes I also recommend that if you're having trouble sleep, use a sleep mask or something over your eyes so that you can block out, of course, the outside world. That is also a recommendation. There was this one movie that Steve Martin was in, and he played Sergeant Bilko. And it was funny that when he would go to bed, he would put a sleep mask over his face so that he could go to sleep. And someone said to him, they said, "Why are you doing that, Sergeant Bilko?" He says, "Because you guys are so, active at night." He says, "I put the sleep mask over my face so I don't see you." So, whatever it takes for you to go to sleep, that's important. Also, as well, it is important to do stretching. That's right, doing stretching before you go to bed. You may want to do some what we would call low impact stretching. The reason why is, of course, you're relaxing your body. You see, gentle movements also ease pain and aid sleep. So do some gentle stretching before you go to bed. We're not talking about vigorous workouts because that has a negative effect. If you do a hard workout before you go to bed, it's going to take your body longer time to relax. And the whole thing about, of course, getting ready and having a good routine before you go to bed is that you want your body to relax. You want your mind to relax. You want to be able to slow down and get ready to go to sleep. Because I've said before, nothing as is as important as having a good sleep. And that's the problem with so many people today. They don't get a good sleep. And many people today are running on 4 and 5 hours of sleep, and you just can't stay healthy without having a good sleep routine. So, having a good pre sleep routine is absolutely essential. So, let's review them for just a moment to help you, of course, to be able to have a good sleep. Number one, of course, read. Do something that will, read something that will help your mind slow down. Reading book for pleasure and making sure that you don't read any work related material. Also, as well, having a time of prayer. I have discovered, as I said before, that prayer enables me to be thankful and grateful for the many blessings. There's an old song from Irving Berlin that with Rosemary Clooney and also Bing Crosby said, when you know, he talks about counting your blessings. So when I can't, my mind just went to, he says, I go to sleep counting my blessings. There we are. And so basically, Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney and Irving Berlin say, make sure you count your blessings before you go to sleep. Also, as well, don't forget, of course, to listen to music. Listen to classical music or easy listening music. Don't listen to music that, gets you going. Listen to music that slows you down and helps you as well. Also, as well, avoid blue light exposure. Don't read, don't, scroll or use your using your phone or your tablet or your computer because it actually gets you excited and it takes your body and your mind longer to slow down. And it's a well known fact that with blue light exposure, it can take up to 2 hours to be able to slow down and your mind to finally stop being stimulated by the blue light. Also, as well, don't drink pop, coffee, or, have some sort of soda because sugar will keep you up and caffeine will keep you up. Also, as well, take a bath or a shower. It will help your body to relax and help your body to slow down. And then also, as well, have a good sleep area. Find the right temperature. And also, as well, make sure that you have a dark space that enables you to sleep. Light exposure keeps you awake. Darkness naturally makes you want to, of course, sleep. And then, of course, also as well, do some sort of low impact type of stretching that will enable your body to relax. Don't do any high impact exercise before you go to bed, because instead of allowing your body to relax, what's going to happen is all the different um, chemicals that keep you stimulated if you have a workout, you don't want to have that. So these are simple things that I'm encouraging you to do before you go to bed. Well, I hope it's helped a little bit. Again, if you like what you're hearing and seeing, I always encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, as well, check out my daily shorts every day. I do a series of short vignettes and snapshots, YouTube shorts that encourage you in and enlighten you, and also as well illuminate you every single day. So my name is Robert Dean Steele. Thank you for joining me today. Have yourself a great and godly day.